Every story, parable has a climax. When we read a very interesting book, if someone tells us the conclusion or the climax of that book, we don't feel like reading the book. In the Bible, we find a parable that was narrated by Jesus Christ that has no conclusion. The conclusion is left to the listeners when Jesus was speaking. Let us have a look at the parable of what is happening. A father has two sons. One day, the younger son asked for his share of the father's wealth. When the younger one got his share, he headed to a far-away country and he was caught up with a wild living and lost all his money and was feeding the swine for his living. One day, in his pain, he came to his senses. Even the servants in my father's house live a good life. Hence, he decided to go back to his father. As he was still a long way, his father saw him and ran to welcome him, and not only welcoming him into the family again, but he arranged a big party. The calf was killed, the party was in place. Then the elder son comes into the scene. The elder son is a hard-working person who works all the time. When he was far away from the house, he heard an unfamiliar sound and he comes to know by his servant that his brother had returned. And so he refused to join the party. The father pleaded with the elder son to come inside, but the elder son was not willing. The elder son explained that he had worked all these years and was angry that the father had never done anything like this for him. Then the father replied, "My son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But this celebration is because this brother of yours was dead and now he is alive. He was lost and now he is found." That's where the parable ends. And Jesus did not narrate the conclusion. He left to the people who were listening. What happened to the older brother? What happened to the older brother? Luke chapter 15, verse 25 to 32. Luke chapter 15, verse 25 to 32. Son of spirituality, don't you want to come home? Son of spirituality, don't you want to come home? The three important factors that made the elder brother spiritually weak. The insensitive factor. Both the sons in the narration are lost. The elder son is insensitive in nature. When we look at the outward appearance of the elder brother, he looks like a saint. But when we look at the inward appearance, he is a sinner just like his brother. The elder son is selfish. Many a times, we also look at the outward appearance, the actions of people, and define them as saints and sinners. The elder brother represents the scribes and Pharisees. They are the people who point out the sin of others but are not able to identify their own sins. Here in the passage, we see the elder brother announces the sin of his younger brother, but he could not see his own sin. He shows envy towards his brother by not attending the celebration. Not only that, when we look into the passage, we see the word prostitute, and there is nothing noted as a prostitute in the story, but he mentions it. This idea reveals the thought process of the elder son. The lustful mind of a younger brother is seen here. Some people are like that, so-called spiritual. They do the right thing, but they long for bad things. They sing the right songs, but their hearts are not right. The elder son was keeping everything in his mind and heart and projected himself outside as a calm and quiet person. But when his younger brother appears in the scene, he started to show his true color. The outstanding factor. When we look into the life of the elder son, he was a hard-working man, obeying his father. The biggest sin that he has done is he failed to love his father as well as his brother. That is how he says, "Father, how can you welcome him?" The elder son who was living with the father was obedient and diligent, but he missed to obey the two greatest commandments: love God and love people. Perhaps the elder son never enjoyed the joy of home and having the blessing of the father. Even though he was at home, having an equal share of inheritance, prestige, and the opportunity of working with the father, but looked at the father and asked, "What have you given me?" There is a saying, if we are so ritualistic and religious in what we do, we tend to forget the house we belong to. The emotional factor. According to the older brother, the younger brother who ran away deserves nothing. The Pharisaic attitude, "I am right and you are wrong." Is he faithful? No. Did he obey the father? No. He knows his father. He had grown up under the father's kindness and love, but he could not have the quality of the father. He could not understand the father's quality. Most of the Christians, so-called spiritual people, are like this. Most of the Christians preach, but they don't live accordingly. Here, the elder brother lives in the home with the father, but could not be like his father. The father in the parable illustrates the character of God. God shows love, compassion, affection. He provides us with everything. We pray, read the Bible, go to the church, but are we displaying the quality of character God possesses? We come to the passage again. So, who shall we throw the stone at? Is it the younger one or so-called spiritual elder one? Who is truly lost? The son of spirituality. Don't you want to come home? The son of spirituality. Don't you want to come home?
Cross Connect, transforming lives through the message of the cross.